Sage Sri Shankaracharya, the great philosopher and social reformer who lived during the 8th century. In his short lifespan of just 32 years, he became one of the greatest teachers, whose teachings on spirituality worth understanding. Those who do not follow the path shown by him, considering it difficult, they deserve mercy, because they don't know that the one who follows this path becomes free from all sorrows. Hence I request you to listen to his teachings carefully. His teachings are based on the unity of the soul and the Absolute, in which the Absolute is viewed as without attributes. Now let's listen to his teachings, which are still preserved and guiding humanity. Any foolish person who does not make efforts for the liberation of his soul, after somehow attaining this rare human birth, and also after attaining such a manhood in which one can unite with the Absolute, is definitely committing suicide. He destroys himself because of his belief in untruth. Even if one interprets the scriptures, recalls the god or goddess, does various auspicious deeds, or worships the deities, till the time one does not realize the unity of the Absolute and the soul, one cannot attain salvation even after the passage of millions of births. Because there is no hope of immortality through wealth, there is no action for salvation. By constantly remaining situated in the Absolute, you yourself can save your soul, which is drowned in the ocean of the world. All the worldly activities are only for the purification of the mind, not for the attainment of objects. Let me explain with an example. If you do your daily work and deeds without attachments or your personal lust, then your mind is being purified, and you will start situated in the Absolute. What you are thinking is the most important, and not you did charity or not, or bathing or not. Only a person who is intelligent, learned and skilled in reasoning is entitled to self-knowledge. Someone who is focused on liberation, knowledge and truth, who is focused on controlling his senses and mind or subtle senses, who has the real wisdom, is the one who is capable of having unite with the Absolute. The certainty that the Absolute is true and the world is false is called wisdom. Those who live free from worry and sorrow, with enduring all kinds of sufferings, without retaliating, are eligible for experiencing the Supreme. In place of fulfillment of the mind's desires, one should keep his intellect always fixed in the Supreme in all respects. The desire to give up all the bondages of ignorance, from the ego to the body, through the knowledge of one's own form, due towards the ultimate. Those who have even a little above mentioned qualities will surely progress towards the non-duality truth. In the person who does not have above mentioned, can never get freedom from sorrows and from the cycle of birth and death. Salvation is achieved neither by yoga, nor by work nor by knowledge. That happens only through the wisdom of the unity of the Absolute and the soul, and in no other way. Just as the beauty of the violin and the beautiful way of playing the string are the source of entertainment for humans, but nothing can be made through it, similarly, the skill of speech, seriality of words, skill in lecturing the scriptures and scholarship of scholars can be the reason for enjoyment, not salvation. If the Absolute is not known, then the study of the scriptures is fruitless or useless, and even if the Supreme is known, then the study of the scriptures is also fruitless or unnecessary. Words are the great forest that distracts the mind, hence one should try to know the essence of the soul from some ways. What is the benefit of scriptures, seriality of words, and medicines to the one who is laughed at by the snake of ignorance, without the medicine of the Absolute? The disease does not go away without drinking the medicine, just by uttering the word medicine. Similarly, by merely saying the Absolute, the Supreme, without experiencing it, no one gets cured, cannot be free. Just as in order to obtain the wealth buried in the earth, first the statement of a trustworthy person is required, and then there is a need to dig the earth, remove pebbles, stones and accept the obtained wealth. It does not come out through empty words. In the same way, the pure soul is also achieved only through the teachings, meditation and deep focus or consideration, contemplation, and not through small talk. The first goal of salvation is said to be extreme dispassion for impermanent things, followed by complete renunciation of all attachment-oriented actions. After that, the person should listen, contemplate and meditate on the soul continuously for a long time. Then that scholar attains the ultimate state and attains the complete happiness of salvation. The craving for pleasures of a man lying on the verge of death is like a frog lying in the mouth of a snake, pouncing towards mosquitoes. Don't know when death will come, therefore, one should remove the mind from pleasures and concentrate on God day and night. As long as health is good, one can easily concentrate on prayer or meditation. If you are unwell, it will be difficult to remember God without practice. At the time of death, when the throat gets choked due to phlegm, gas and bile and the senses become weak, then leave aside remembrance. You will not even be able to chant your name. Therefore, from now on, one should concentrate the mind on God and start chanting His name with the tongue. Those fools who get tied in these worldly illusions with a strong and wide bond in the form of attachment get inspired by their messenger in the form of karma and move in and out of many higher and higher births. The attachments are more intense than the poison of a snake, because the poison kills only the one who eats it, but the attachments do not spare even the one who just thinks about them. Only the one who is freed from the difficult bondage of the objects of hope is a part of salvation, and no one else, even if he is an expert in all knowledge of salvation. Only the one who has killed the desires and bondages with the sword of renunciation can go across the world ocean without any hindrance. If you desire salvation, then leave things as far away as poison, and consume contentment, kindness, forgiveness, simplicity, and splendor, daily with respect like nectar. Leaving aside the great death in the form of attachment to body, female, or opposite sex and son, by conquering which the sages attain that supreme position of God. This gross body consisting of skin, flesh, blood, nerves, fat, bones and filled with feces and urine, is highly condemnable. This body, which was born as per the previous karma, is the gross enjoyment of the soul. Its state is awakened, in which gross objects are experienced. Now I will tell you the form of God, knowing which man becomes free from bondage, and attains the Absolute, who himself sees everyone, but whom no one can see, who illuminates the intellect, but whom the intellect cannot illuminate, who has pervaded the entire universe, but whom no one can pervade, and on whose influence the entire world is becoming visible. By just being in his presence the body, senses, mind and intellect are inspired, and behave in their respective subjects. He is neither born, nor dies, nor increases, nor decreases, nor undergoes any change. He is eternal, and even when this body is absorbed, it does not get absorbed. Self's existence of ego, this self-intellect, in non-self objects, is the bondage acquired from ignorance, which leads to sufferings in the form of birth and death, due to which this living being, considering this unreal body to be true, and having attained self-intelligence in it, keeps nourishing, cleansing and protecting it through its sensual pleasures, like a silkworm through its fibers. Just as the clouds arising from the brightness of the sun spread themselves covering the sun, in the same way, the ego that has emerged from the soul covers the soul, and gets established on its own. There is no more ignorance than the mind. The mind itself is the underlying ignorance of the bondage of existence. When it is destroyed, everything gets destroyed, and when it awakens, everything becomes visible. The moment the senses burn the fuel of lust and sacrifice the objects in the mental fire, at that time the entire illusion gets absorbed. In the dream in which there is no substance, the mind itself creates the entire enjoyer phenomenon with its power. Similarly, in waking life also there is no other specialty, hence all this is just a luxury of the mind. When the mind is absorbed in the period of deep sleep, nothing remains. This is known to everyone. Therefore, this world of this being is only an imagination of the mind, not in reality. The cloud comes through the wind and then goes away through it. This is how the bondage is imagined through the mind and liberation through the mind too. This mind itself binds the man like an animal with a rope by imagining attachment in all the matters and then frees him from bondage by creating sadness in these poisonous matters. Therefore, the mind is the reason for the bondage and salvation of this living being. What should a wise man consider as his soul or the Absolute, through which all these are experienced, and which cannot be experienced yourself through your subtle intellect? Consider yourself to be the witness of all that. This soul itself is the witness of our own, because it is experienced by itself. Therefore, beyond this there is no other real self. Just as a foolish man, seeing the sun reflected in the water of a pitcher, considers it to be the sun, in the same way, an ignorant man mistakenly considers the image of the mind present to be his own. After knowing the Absolute, the scholar no longer falls into the cycle of birth and death. Therefore, the inseparableness of the soul from the Absolute should be known well.